Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Dan from Hobbies and Happiness, and today we are doing a set review of the initial cards for the Tactics faction from DC Dual Force. Let's go. Alright, I am finally so excited to start talking more and more about DC Dual Force. Alright, so yesterday, should have been yesterday, released a video basically saying everything we know so far about DC Dual Force. Now, there's a lot of information packed into there, and there's even still more information that I want to talk about. But before we do that, I just want to go through all of these cards and get you guys all of this information because we just had a dump of info and we're just going to start getting into it. And so we're going to start by going through the tactics cards that have been announced. So I'm going to do 5 separate videos, one for each faction. We're starting off with tactics, the blue cards. Now, let me know down below what faction you want to see next. I think I have an idea of what I'm going to do, but let me know down below what faction you want to see next. Now, before we even get started, don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more DC Dual Force content, and then hit that bell notification. That way you can be notified when we release more content in the future. All right, so the way we're going to start talking about these cards is we're going to talk about the leaders first, then we're going to go into the recruits, and then the actions for the tactics faction. So we have a lot to get into, so let's just go right now. We're going to start off by talking about Batgirl. So Batgirl is a 17 defense leader with a charge ability where you pay 3 charges and says Batgirl gets +3 attack this turn. Activate the deploy ability of a friendly recruit. Now, through the tactics fashion, I've counted 12 recruits that each have a deploy ability. So not a ton, but you can also, obviously, if you're running a deck with other factions, you'll have access to more potential recruits, okay? Now, obviously, this all comes down to how you're going to build your deck. Now, in the tactics faction, there are some pretty good recruits that can have some decent deploy effects, and we'll get there as we talk about the recruits. Now, before we continue even further, I want to let you know, when we come across the keywords, I talked about keywords in this last video. We're going to do a separate video all about keywords for the game, okay? Now, as we come across them here, I will explain what I know them to be so far. That way I can give you guys the best information as possible that I'm aware of at the moment. If you want, again, check the link in the description. We're going to leave a link to the DC Dual Force Discord community. There's more information there. If you want to ask questions, don't hesitate, jump into that Discord community. All right, so Batgirl seems okay. I mean, it's very very dependent. The +3 attack is okay, but again, that's only on a per turn basis. So Batgirl seems okay. Not a leader that I'm overly excited for, but she's part of the Bat family, so she definitely has that going for her. All right, the next leader we're going to talk about is Batman. Batman is a 19 defense leader with a charge ability where you pay 2 charges. Batman gets +3 attack this turn. Seek one of 2 gadgets. So again, Batman getting that +3 attack on a per turn basis, a little bit better than Batgirl, because with Batman you only pay 2 charges. Batgirl, you had to pay 3 charges. Now, it's the second line, seek one of 2 gadgets. Where would Batman be without his gadgets? Now, first thing, let's look at the word seek. That is a keyword. Now, what we think so far is seek is going to function similarly to the discover effect in Hearthstone, where the game is going to show you 3 different choices, and then you get to choose from one of those 3 choices. Now, it's not pulling it from your deck. They're going to be randomly generated from the game. Now, there are 4 gadgets that we know so far. In this ability, you're going to be shown 2 of those 4, and then you get to choose 1. So it's nice because it's automatic value because you're creating a new card and you're not pulling it from your deck. So I really like that. Now, we can't go any further without actually talking about the gadgets. So as mentioned, there are 4 baseline versions of these gadgets. Now, these gadgets can get upgraded by a certain recruit, and we will talk about that when we get there in the recruit section. Now, the first one, so you've got a bandage, you've got a batarang, a grapnel gun, and tear gas. So the bandage heals 3 damage from a friendly character, and you get to draw a card. The batarang deals 2 damage to an enemy recruit. The grapnel gun gets to return a friendly recruit to your hand. So grapnel gun could work well with a character like a leader like Batgirl, where you're bouncing a friendly recruit. Well, excuse me, with Batgirl, you get to deploy. You get to activate the deploy ability of a friendly recruit. So grapnel gun, one of the reasons you'd probably want to do that is to activate their deploy effect, okay? And then a tear gas gives an enemy recruit -2 attack. So now these are all free cards. So these cards do not cost a resource to play. So again, just automatic value. So there's definitely a gadget-based synergy in the entire tactics fashion. And we'll talk about these upgraded resources, these upgraded gadgets as we get further along in this video. But Batman gadgets is a big archetype that you're going to see in the tactics faction. All right, the next leader we're going to talk about is Green Arrow. So Green Arrow is a 19 defense leader with a charge ability where you pay 2 charges and you get to seek a bronze, silver, or gold trick arrow. All right, so Batman goes hand in hand with his gadgets. Green Arrow, what would Green Arrow be without his arrows? So there's a total of 15 different arrows that Green Arrow has access to. 5 bronze, 5 silver, and 5 gold. So each arrow essentially has its own tier. You've got your bronze tier, the silver tier, and the gold tier. Now, the bronze tier is all aluminum, the silver tier is all steel, and the gold tier is all titanium arrows. So the 5 different arrows that Green Arrow is going to have access to, the trick arrows, are the boxing glove, the electric arrow, the explosive arrow, the radar arrows, and the repeating arrows. So let's first touch on the boxing gloves. So the boxing gloves deal damage to a recruit, and then they also charge your leader. So the aluminum boxing glove arrow deals 2 damage to an enemy recruit, charge a random friendly leader. The steel boxing glove deals 3 damage to an enemy recruit, charges a random friendly leader twice. And then the upgraded version, the gold version, is the titanium, deals 4 damage to an enemy recruit, and then you charge a random friendly leader 3 times. We talk about the electric arrows again. I went through each tier for the boxing glove. I'm not going to go through every single tier for the remaining ones, but just know that each arrow does have its base bronze, mid tier steel/silver, and then upper tier gold/titanium. So the electric arrow deals damage to a recruit in the surrounding. It's specifically adjacent. So it's specifically adjacent, not all surrounding, but specifically adjacent. Now, I think what that means is directly to the side and back, not diagonally. That's my understanding what they mean when they're going to say adjacent. Okay, so that's the explosive arrow, the electric arrow. The explosive arrows deals damage to front row recruits. So all recruits that are in the front row. So the explosive arrows are going to be really good AoE effects. I guess the electric arrows are also AoE effects as well. The radar arrows deals damage and draws you cards. And then the repeating arrows deals damage and then they return to your hand for free. So if we read the aluminum repeating arrow, for instance, it reads deal 1 damage to an enemy recruit. The first time you play aluminum repeating arrow, return it to your hand and it becomes free. So each of those repeating arrows, you're going to be able to play twice. The first time you play it, you're going to have to pay the cost, but then it'll return to your hand and then you're able to play it for free. So you have to pay a bronze for the bronze version and then silver and gold and so on and so forth, but you'll still be able to get that bounce to your hand and then play it for free. All right, the last leader we're going to talk about is Cyborg. So Cyborg is a 21 health/defense leader with a charge ability of you pay 4 charges and deal 1 damage to an enemy character for each card you've drawn this game. So Cyborg is going to be your big payoff for drawing through your deck. So I'm seeing Cyborg in a control archetype, control builds, where you're just drawing through your entire deck. Now, my understanding is you are able to mill out. So if you go through your entire deck, you go to draw, you will lose the game. That's my understanding at this point. Once I get more confirmation on that, I'll be sure to let you guys know, but that is the information that I have at the moment, is you can deck out. So you do need to be careful of that, but Cyborg is a big payoff for control decks where you're just gonna be drawing through your entire deck. Now, it's important to note that this specifically says enemy character, not recruit. So you will be able to target enemy leaders with Cyborg's ability. All right, now we're gonna start going through the recruits. We're gonna start off with the bronze recruits and then talk about the silver ones and then the golds. So the first one we're gonna talk about is Alfred Pennyworth. Alfred is a bronze 1/1 with a deploy ability, says create a bandage in your hand, then charge your Batman leader. Alfred is going to be in every single Batman gadget deck. Not only do you get a gadget in your hand, okay, and you're not drawing it from your deck, you are creating it, okay, you also get to charge Batman as well. So think about going Alfred with Batgirl as well, because with Batgirl, you're able to use her charge ability to activate the deploy ability of a friendly recruit. And then if you're able to grapnel gun Alfred Pennyworth back and then play him again, that's just immediate value all the time. So Alfred Pennyworth, I think, is going to be an auto include in just about every Batman build. The next one we're going to talk about is Arkham Guard. So Arkham Guard is a 1/4 with guard, has the deploy ability. If there is an enemy, anarchy, or tyranny leader, Arkham Guard gets +1/+1. Now, I just realized I don't know if I specifically touched on what deploy is. Deploy is essentially enters the battlefield. When this card enters the battlefield, when this card gets played, activate this effect. So that's deploy. Now, guard, think of guard as taunt from Hearthstone. So guard essentially is when this character is in the front row, you have to attack it with damage. You cannot attack. It protects all other cards on the board. Now, my understanding is this only will go into effect if the card is in the front row, not if it's in the back row. So you do have that rear middle slot. So if Arkham Guard was in that back slot, I don't think guard would work. The card does have to be in that front row slot. So again, Arkham Guard bronze, 1/4. 1/4 with guard is already decent. I mean, that's a pretty good stat line. Initially, I was thinking that this is going to be kind of a meta call because of that deploy ability. I mean, 1/4 with guard is good. However, I was also looking through, there aren't a ton of recruits with guard already, especially in that bronze slot. So I think Arkham Guard is going to be a pretty good early game play. The next card is Batcow. So Batcow is an 0/5. It has the ability, after Batcow survives damage, draw a card. We've seen this effect in a lot of other games. However, in this game specifically, when you put it in the back row, essentially forcing your opponents to target this card in order to defeat your leaders, I think Batcow is going to be really good as well. Now, it does say it has to survive that damage, so it's not on die or sacrifice. It specifically has to survive that damage. Then you draw a card. You should be able to draw a few cards off of this, but I think Batcow is going to be pretty good early gameplay as well. All right, the next one is Bluebird. So Bluebird is a 2/3 with a deploy ability, create a gadget in your hand. Again, anything that you're going to be able to create gadgets from into your hand is going to go in just about every Batman gadget-based deck, I think. And so Bluebird is just another one of those where you're going to get a free card to your hand. And again, it's a literal free card because, again, remember, those gadgets are free and they do not have a resource cost. You do get to play those for free. Now, again, you kind of know what you're going to get, right? There's only 4 options. So with there only being 4 options, that's another thing where I think these gadgets are going to be really good because it's going to be pretty consistent because you know exactly what you're going to get. You don't have like magical spells. There's I think there's 21 different magical spells, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the energy faction. But with only the gadgets, there's only 4. So there's a very small number that you're able to choose from. So Bluebird is, again, I think is going to be a really good early game call. All right, the next one is Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne, bronze, 2/2 with a deploy and start. Create an investment in your hand. So Bruce Wayne automatically cantrips, replaces itself in your hand with an investment. Now, an investment, I don't know how I feel about this. So an investment is a bronze card and just says draw card. So again, I mean, it's never a bad thing to draw cards, right? It's never a bad thing to draw cards in a card game because you want to be able to have more access to answers from your deck. So it's never a bad thing, okay? I'm just struggling with a game where you only have a certain number of resources every turn and you're only able to play 2 cards for the most part, okay, that you're able to pay for. So that's where I'm just struggling with. I don't know how good or bad this is actually going to be. So drawing cards, again, universally in card games is great. I just don't know if these investments are going to be worth it in the long run, right? So, I mean, that's what Bruce Wayne, so it's a deploy, but also at the start of your turn. So that start keyword means at the start of your turn, this will trigger. So again, never bad. However, I would much rather it just be, hey, draw an additional card at the start of your turn. But this also is a bronze card. So again, you do have that cyborg payoff, right? So again, it's nice to have that top end payoff with leaders like Cyborg. So I think this will work perfectly with Cyborg. It's just, I don't know if there's going to be other payoffs other than Cyborg to utilize these types of effects. Next one is Detective Chimp. So Detective Chimp is a bronze 2/3 with evade. Evade. So let's talk about evade. Evade basically means the next time this card would be attacked, negate that attack. Okay, so basically you're coming at me, I'm just gonna dodge out of the way. So that's basically what evade is. Now it does only trigger one time. I believe I said the next time it is technically the first time, then the evade will kick in. So that's what evade is. Okay, so Detective Chimp 2/3 evade, also with a deploy ability. Identify the card in your opponent's deck from 3 suspects. If you solve the case, draw a card. So Detective Chimp is also an ultimate, all right? So you're only able to have 1 copy of this in your deck. I think the Detective Chimp early game is going to be really good. Has a potential to cantrip replace itself in your hand, but also give you some potential knowledge of what your opponent's playing if you don't know. But I don't think late game Detective Chimp is going to be worth it, because again, it has a 2/3 body, but I think the flavor is definitely on point for Detective Chimp, that's for sure. Next one, Felicity Smoak. So Felicity Smoak this is a really good card. So Felicity is a 1/1 deploy, charge your Green Arrow leader and start draw a card. So on a deploy, you get to charge your Green Arrow leader card, okay, and then also start of your turn, draw a card. So if Felicity is able to stick turn after turn, you're drawing turn after turn, but does give you that immediate value of charging Green Arrow. All right, next is Harvey Bullock. Harvey Bullock is a 2/3 with the deploy ability of deal 1 damage to an enemy recruit. This is a very good card because, again, especially in games where damage is persistent, that matters, right? So those pings are going to matter turn after turn after turn. So Harvey Bullock is another one that could pair very well with cards like Batgirl, leaders like Batgirl, but also that grapnel gun of getting that deploy ability turn after turn after turn. So Harvey Bullock being able to ping on deploy is definitely good. So I think Harvey Bullock is going to be a good card in just about every blue deck. Next is John Diggle. So John Diggle is a 2/3 and has the ability, after you create your first action each turn, John Diggle gets +1/+1. Obviously, I wish it was not just your first action he would trigger, but it's only that first one. Now it's important to note gadgets are actions. So those gadget cards are actions, okay? All the trick arrows are also actions as well. So John Diggle can go in Green Arrow builds, but also Batman builds. I mean, flavor-wise, you're gonna put John Diggle in your Green Arrow builds, but he would also work with Batman-based gadget builds as well. So I definitely like this card, but I wish it was after everyone. But again, we also have to think about the cost. This is only a bronze card. So I do think for the cost, I think this is a pretty good card. Next is Misfit. So Misfit from the Birds of Prey is a 3/1 with evade and hunter. Hunter essentially means a new keyword, new, right? They're all new, right? Hunter basically means they can ignore recruit keywords. So they ignore aura, they ignore hidden, they ignore all that stuff. I shouldn't say they ignore aura, but they ignore guard. They're able to attack anything. That's what hunter means. And so we already went over evade before. So I think a 3/1 with evade and hunter is pretty good. Would be better with a keyword like speed. Speed basically is haste. They can attack the turn they enter play. Important to note, I don't know if I've actually mentioned that before, but recruits when they are played are not able to attack the turn they enter the battlefield. They have to wait a turn. They do have summoning sickness unless they have the keyword speed. Speed gives them the ability to attack the turn they enter. Next one is Nightshade. So Nightshade is a 3/2 with hidden. Hidden means they are not able to be attacked, targeted until they make an attack. So again, this keyword we've seen in other card games before. So a 3/2 for bronze with hidden, I think is pretty good. I don't think that's a bad card at all. I think anything that's an upgrade on vanilla is going to be good. So I think Nightshade with that 3/2 hidden is going to be good value. All right, the next one is Silas Stone. So Silas Stone is a bronze 1/3 with the deploy ability of heal 5 damage from a friendly character. So I think for bronze, this is actually really good, especially if you're able to do this turn after turn. Now, I think Silas Stone is going to work very well in cyborg-based builds, because the way I see Silas Stone is in control-type builds where you're relying more on your actions, not your recruits. And when you do that, you're going to leave your leaders open, vulnerable to more attacks, okay, from other recruits. So you need to be able to heal turn after turn after turn, and Silas Stone gives you that flexibility and the ability to do that turn after turn, especially if you're able to bounce him and then continually utilize that deploy ability of healing 5 damage from a friendly character. it's important. I mean, 5 is big. So I think for bronze card with the option to heal 5 is really, really good. All right, the next one we have is the question. The question, I'm a big fan of the question from the comics. The question also kind of reminds me of Rorschach a little bit from the Watchmen, which who thinks we're going to see the Watchmen in this game? I'm hoping we'll see them eventually. I think we will. I really do think we'll see them in this game, but that's beside the point. So the question is a 2/1 with the keyword Hunter and a deployability of draw card. So, I mean, this is good. I think the question is a good card regardless, okay? Replaces itself in your hand, and then if you're able to just utilize that deployability again, you probably won't because he's a 2/1. If you're able to give him speed, he's going to be even better because he has that Hunter keyword. Question, a good card for a 2/1 in bronze. All right, the last bronze recruit we have is the WayneTech Engineer. So the WayneTech Engineer is a 1/3 with start, create a gadget in your hand. This is just value in any Batman gadget builds. Start of your turn, you're gonna create a gadget in your hand. I think if you're playing against Batman and you see a WayneTech Engineer, you're gonna have to take care of that immediately. That's just value turn after turn after turn. You don't know which gadget your opponent's gonna be getting if you see that card. Could be a bandage, batarang, grapnel gun, tear gas, and they're all good. So they're all good so far. So I think WayneTech Engineer is going to be an all-star in Batman gadget builds. All right, now let's start talking about the silver recruits. The first one is Azrael. Azrael is a 4/3 with ambush. What is ambush, you say? Well, ambush, it's kind of like first strike in games like Magic, okay? But what ambush means is if this character KOs an enemy recruit, they don't take damage in return. So if you use Azrael on let's say a 3/2, the recruit has 3 power, 3 attack, 2 defense, and you attack with Azrael. Since Azrael KO'd that recruit, he will not take damage in return. So that is what the ambush keyword means. Azrael's good. I think anything with ambush is going to be good. And so with that 4 attack, I think that's going to be pretty good, especially in the mid game, because again, this is a silver card. I think Azrael's going to be good. So 4/3 for silver with ambush for Azrael. Next is Batwing. Again, Batwing is probably going to be on your top end if you're playing a Batman gadget build. So Batwing, a 3/4 with the ability after you play a gadget, Batwing gets +1/+1. Not until end of turn, he just gets +1/+1. He has also a deployability of create a gadget in your hand. Again, I think this, with those gadget payoffs, I think you're going to see Batwing in pretty much every Batman gadget build. I know he's going to be in the deck that I built for sure, because again, also pairs well with Batgirl, activating that deployability of a friendly recruit. So Batwing, very good for a 3/4 stat line. Next is Catwoman. Catwoman is going to see a lot of hate. So Catwoman, a silver resource for a 4/3. She is an ultimate, right? Now she has the keywords Hunter and Hidden, but she also has Arkham Inmate. There are going to be Arkham Inmate synergies, so you're going to see that more in the Anarchy faction. You don't really see it a lot here in Tactics. But also definitely fits with Catwoman as a character. Now, her ability reads, after Catwoman attacks a leader, draw a random gold card from your opponent's deck. So you're stealing stuff from your opponent. Yeah, that's why Catwoman's going to see a lot of hate. I mean, I think Catwoman is going to be a very, very good pickup. If you see Catwoman, you need to kill her. It's going to be hard to because she has Hunter and Hidden. So Catwoman is going to be a very, very good, scary card, that's for sure. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Gordon is a 3/5 with evade, as well as the deployability of summon a squad car. So a squad car is a 3/3 with speed. So with Commissioner Gordon, you're getting a total of 6 attack and 8 defense on board, are utilizing 2 slots of your board, but I think Commissioner Gordon is going to go well in a lower to the ground aggro type build for recruits. So you're getting 2 cards for the cost of 1. So I think Commissioner Gordon is very, very good actually for the cost. So you're paying silver, but you're getting like we talked about 6 attack and 8 toughness or defense on board. I think Commissioner Gordon's has the potential to be really good. All right, next is Connor Hawke. So Connor Hawke is a 1/6 with Hunter, and the deployability of Connor Hawke gets +1 attack for each action in your hand. So this is going to be pretty situational. I mean, I'm seeing this in Green Arrow builds as well as Batman Batman with those gadgets and trick arrows. With that deployability, it's dependent upon what you have in your hand at that moment. So it's not a constant effect. It checks at the time this card enters the battlefield. I think this is going to be very, very situational, and time will tell if this is good or just going to be extremely meta dependent or situational. Next one is Green Arrow. So Green Arrow, like Catwoman, is an ultimate at that silver rarity. It's a 5/2 with ambush and a deployability of deal 2 damage to an enemy recruit. If they're KO'd, repeat this. Green Arrow is going to be a tempo monster, I feel like, because this will come down probably in the mid game, and just this is a potential to be a board wipe. And with ambush, I think Green Arrow is going to be very, very good. I'm definitely seeing this going to be as a really, really big tempo swing, probably mid to late game. So I'm definitely a fan of the Green Arrow recruit, that's for sure. All right, next we have Huntress. So Huntress is a 5/5 with Hunter. Silver resource, 5/5 with Hunter. I mean, that's definitely good. Now, there are other factions that care about the toughness, or excuse me, the attack level of your recruits. I'm thinking of Tyranny and cards like Black Adam, leaders like Black Adam, for example. You don't see those synergies or payoffs in tactics, but Huntress can pair very well with cards like Black Adam, for instance. But I mean, a 5/5 with Hunter is going to be universally very good. All right, next is Lucius Fox. So Lucius Fox is a 1/2 with the deployability of your gadgets everywhere are upgraded. So each of your gadgets gets upgraded no matter where they are, and when you create these gadgets again, they're going to be the upgraded versions. So let's go through them real quick. The first is the bandage, gets upgraded to heal 3 damage from a friendly character and draw a card. And apologies, I think I said the base bandage version was heal 2 and draw. The base bandage is just heal 2 damage. The upgraded bandage is heal 3 and draw. A very, very good upgrade from one to the other, especially from the bandage, right? The next is the Batarang. So the Batarang gets upgraded from deal 2 damage to an enemy recruit to deal 4 damage to an enemy recruit. So you're getting 2 Batarangs for the price of 1, which they're both free. But that is a very, very good upgrade. The next is the Grapnel Gun, gets upgraded from return a friendly recruit to your hand to return a friendly recruit to your hand and give them evade. So all these upgrades are clearly strictly better, which makes sense, right? The next is the Tear Gas. So the Tear Gas gets upgraded from give an enemy -2 attack to give 2 enemies -2 attack. Now, the one thing that I'm curious about with Lucius Fox is I'm going to struggle with, do I put 1 in the deck or do I put 2 in the deck? I think putting 2 in the deck is going to be a mistake because there's only 1 upgraded version and it's 1 and done. So I don't need to use Lucius Fox twice. So part of me was thinking, well, what if Lucius Fox is the last card in the deck? Then I just miss out on that. But I think it's too much of an opportunity cost of putting 2 in the deck. I think 1 is going to be more than enough in this game. You let me know down below what you think, but I think more than 1 Lucius Fox in your deck is going to be the wrong call. So that's Lucius Fox. All right, next is Miss Martian. So Miss Martian is a 5/6 with aura and a deployability of return a friendly recruit to your hand. So again, Miss Martian is going to pair very well with other cards with enter the battlefield or deploy effects. So you look at Miss Martian, I see on its face an archetype of tempo oriented, bouncing my stuff just to try and maintain a good board state and get value turn after turn after turn. So I think Miss Martian, I mean, with 5/6, I mean, that's a very, very good body. And with aura, I think Miss Martian is going to go in quite a few different archetypes. Especially, I mean, with a 5/6 with aura is going to be really good. All right, next is Nightmare Nurse. So Nightmare Nurse is a 3/4 with end of turn heal 2 damage from each of your other characters. Yes, it targets everything else. She doesn't heal herself, but I don't think that's going to matter. So you're definitely going to get this off the turn she enters the battlefield. So best case, you're healing with 6 total slots. She's only going to heal 5 slots, right? So she could potentially heal you 10 damage turn after turn after turn if all of your other slots are full. So that, again, tempo swing. I think this game is going to be very tempo oriented from all the cards that I've seen and just knowing how this game works. So I think a card like Nightmare Nurse is going to be, if you're going against a card like this, that's going to be scary. Especially if if you're running ways to protect Nightmare Nurse turn after turn, that's going to be a card you really want to have to deal with. All right, next we have Renee Montoya. Renee Montoya is a 3/3 with Hunter and a deploy ability of your recruits with Hunter get ambushed this turn. Now, she doesn't target herself, but since she doesn't have speed, it really doesn't matter. So seems like she's going to go in. First thing that I thought of was Birds of Prey decks, because we have seen some Birds of Prey that have the Hunter keyword, like Huntress, for example. Misfit was another one, I believe, who had Hunter. So I think Renee Montoya is going to be probably a late game finisher. Not herself. I mean, she is only 3/3, but again, using your other recruits with Hunter to essentially just KO your opponent's entire board, and then you still have your board left standing. So Renee Montoya I think is going to be pretty good. All right, next we have Robin. Robin is a 5/5 with evade, and after Robin attacks, charge your leaders. Robin not being able to attack the turn he enters is not good, is bad, obviously, right? But they get around that by giving him evade. So really it's going to depend on what leaders you're running to use their charges. Now, I can imagine there's going to be turns where, man, if I only had the charge, I could do so many cool things with my leaders. I mean, that's where Robin's going to come into play. But so again, I really can't help but thinking that tempo is going to play a really, really big part in this game. Talk to other people who have kind of been play testing this a little bit on TTS and stuff like that. And from what they're saying, tempo is going to play a very, very big part. And I'm kind of seeing that with all these cards. So I think Robin low key could really turn the tide just in giving even you one charge for one of your leaders. Next, we're going to talk about Speedy. So here's a card with speed. If Speedy didn't have speed, I mean, what would they be thinking? But he does, so why are we even talking about it? Speedy is a 3/3 with speed and deploy, create a trick arrow in your hand. So again, this is another card where I think if you're running Green Arrow, you're probably running 2 copies of Speedy because you want all the trick arrows that you can get in your hand. All right, now we move on to the gold recruits. And the first we're talking about is Batman. Batman is a 6/6 with ambush, Hunter, hidden, and after you play a gadget, draw a card. Batman's going to be able to go in pretty much any deck because of the stat line and those keywords. So 6/6 with ambush, Hunter, and hidden, yeah, sign me up. But with that ability of after you play a gadget, draw a card, yeah, if you're playing any Batman gadget synergies, you're definitely running the recruit version of Batman for sure. Next, we have Cyborg. Cyborg is a 5/9 and has the ability after you play tactics card, deal 1 damage to each front row enemy character. I think if you're playing a mono tactics build, you're probably going to run Cyborg, because what's the downside? What is the downside? That turns every single card into your hand to ping 1. So I mean, worst case, Cyborg, if Cyborg is on board, you play 2 cards, each card deals 1 damage, so you're already dealing 2 damage to every character in your opponent's front row. There is literally no downside. I think you have to play Cyborg if you're playing a mono tactics build, period. I don't really think that's a question, because it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't. So with that stat line 5/9, I mean, that is very, very, very good. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this Cyborg. All right, next is Gotham Girl. So she's a vanilla 7/8. I'm never a fan of vanilla cards at all. But a stat line of 7/8, I don't know. One of the things that I'm going to be evaluating as we get into this is how much cards actually cost and what I should expect to get when I pay a gold, a bronze, silver, or a gold. So 7/8 so far is definitely on that top end, but is it going to be worth it in the end? Time will only tell. So I don't really like vanilla cards, like I said, in general, but time will tell if Gotham Girl is going to be good or not. I don't think she will, but she's making a very good case with that 7 attack and 8 defense, so we'll see. Next is Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter is a 4/5 with aura, hunter, and a deploy ability of deploy. Martian Manhunter gets +2/+2 for each other friendly recruit with deploy. So this specifically is going to look at your battlefield, okay? So again, we did talk about, when we talked about Batgirl, there are 12 recruits from the tactics faction. I always say fashion, I don't understand, it's faction. So Martian Manhunter gives you another top end payoff for running recruits with deploy. So again, I am thinking about those tempo synergies. I think Martian Manhunter is really going to play off of that. And we saw earlier Miss Martian as well, again, playing off with that deployability as well. So Martian Manhunter gives you that payoff, that top end payoff for running other recruits with deploy. So I like it, especially with that aura and hunter keyword as well. Next is Metron. So Metron is a 210 with start, draw 2 cards. I don't know how I feel about this, okay? Because again, with that gold resource, you can't play a gold card until turn 5. So you're not able to play this until turn 5, unless you're able to ramp into it a turn or so earlier. I don't know how I feel about it. 210, again, drawing your cards, great, but it doesn't do anything the turn it enters. Your opponent has to leave it alone, and then it gets back to your turn, then you're drawing 2 additional cards. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I love drawing cards. Who doesn't like drawing cards? I just don't know if this is going to be really, really good or not. I mean, that's a pretty big stat line. So, I mean, you could stick this in front of your leader and then just use it as he's got a big butt. We'll say that, right? So that's a big butt that your opponents have to get through in order to attack your leader. So from that standpoint, I like it. But again, time will tell if this is going to be really good or not. And you must be thinking, why is this guy saying drawing cards is bad? I'm not saying drawing cards is bad. Drawing cards is definitely good. Time will tell. All right, next we have Mr. Miracle. So Mr. Miracle is a 5/8 with aura and evade. So we talked about Gotham Girl with that 7/8 vanilla. I mean, this, yes, is only 5/8, but with those keywords of aura and evade, that's a lot of evasion, which again, thematically, flavorfully, definitely makes sense for Mr. Miracle. He's able to avoid attacks and targeting with that aura. So I don't know if we touched on it before, but aura essentially means the first time this card would be targeted by a card effect, it isn't targeted essentially. So it loses that aura keyword instead. So again, if you're familiar with other games like Tessel, Elder Scrolls Legends, these keywords showed up a lot in that game as well. Next, we have Mr. Terrific. So Mr. Terrific is a 7/7 with the deployability of draw a free card. Now, the one question I have is this going to, when it says draw, I think that means from your deck. That I don't know. Or is this going to be like creating a free card? So that I don't know if it's from your deck or where we're getting that free card. So that's the one question I have on Mr. Terrific. But a 7/7 with cantrips replace itself in hand is definitely good. And the thing you have to think about too is that it's a free card. So that card that you are drawing into your hand, you're going to be able to play it regardless because it's free and does not have a resource attached to it. All right, the last one we have to talk about is the Signal. So the Signal is an 8/4 with ambush and evade. Again, so very similar to Mr. Miracle with that aura and evade. However, the stats are flopped to the offensive side. So Mr. Miracle was an 5/8. The Signal is an 8/4. So these are going to be the big beaters in tactics. And yeah, generally I'm a fan. I do like the Signal. I think that'll be a very good top end for some of these decks. All right, now let's start talking about the actions. The first action we're going to talk about is Bat Signal. So Bat Signal reads, exhaust a friendly recruit to create Batman in your hand at the start of your next turn. Now, what's important to note is this is not the recruit Batman. This is the token Batman. So you can tell it's a token by where the rarity is. It is black, okay? So it does not have the ultimate rarity like the Batman recruit did, but this is essentially it's the token rarity, okay? So Batman is a silver resource and it's a 6/6. He's a 6/6 with speed and deploy. Batman gets ambush and hunter this turn. So this is very similar to the ultimate Batman because he's also a 6/6, but this one has speed, and the recruit version did not have speed, but both do have ambush and hunter. Now the token version only gets it on the turn he comes into play, but still the stat lines of 6/6 are the same as well. So overall, I do like the Bat Signal card because again, with the recruit Batman, you only have access to one of in your deck. Well, Bat Signal gives you potentially 2 more cards that get you another Batman recruit essentially to play. It is a little slow because you play the card and then you're able to get Batman at the start of your next turn. So it is bronze, so this you're able to do this early. So that's where I very, very much like the Bat Signal card for sure. All right, next is Business Venture. So Business Venture, all it does is create 2 investments in your hand. Again, I don't know how I feel about this. Yes, you're up a card, but both of those cards just say draw a card. And those are both bronze resources as well. So if you're not having a payoff of drawing more cards, well, if there's no payoff to you drawing the cards, then I don't know how much of a fan I'm going to be. So again, time will tell how good these investments are going to be. I don't think they're going to be very good, but who knows? We will see. Next is Psychic Stun. So Psychic Stun reads, exhaust an enemy recruit and give them -3 attack. Now, I don't think I've touched on exhaust. So exhaust basically means you're not able to attack the next time you can attack. So if you're exhausting a friendly recruit, they need to be able to attack that turn. And then you're essentially removing that ability to attack. Now, if you do this to an opposing character, they can't attack that next turn. So it's essentially a sleep effect in Magic the Gathering. You tap it, they don't untap during their next untap step, essentially. So that is what the exhaust effect does. So with this, Psychic Stun, you are removing 3 attack perpetually. They don't get that back. This is not until end of turn. This is for good. They lose 3 attacks. So one of the things that you think about, board space is going to be incredibly valuable. If you remove one of your opponent's recruits attack to 0 and then leave that recruit on board, they can't do anything with it unless they're able to sacrifice it. I don't know if they can attack yet. I'm not sure if they can or not. Again, time will tell. I'm not sure, but they are down a slot on their board that they can't do anything with. They've essentially lost a slot on their board. So Psychic Stun, I think, is going to be a very, very good card. All right, next is Utility Belt. Utility Belt. Bronze, seek 1 of 4 gadgets. Well, we know what those gadgets are. So again, I think Utility Belt is going to be, you're going to play 2 in your Batman gadget builds. Again, because you do have those payoffs of you play more gadgets, you buff recruits, and then you do other effects. So I think Utility Belt is going to be definitely in every Batman gadget list for sure. All right, now on to the silver action. So the first is Arest. Return recruit to its controller's hands. So for silver, bounce any recruit. So this is not just your opponents. You could bounce your stuff if you wanted to. If you wanted to bounce an Alfred Pennyworth, for example, and get a bandage in your hand, or an upgraded bandage if you played Lucius Fox already. But you can bounce any recruit as long as you're able to target it. So Arest, definitely very good. Again, playing into that tempo synergy, that tempo strategy. All right, next is Batcomputer. I play Batcomputer. I draw 2 cards from my deck. All right. It is not Pot of Greed, it is Batcomputer. So just draw 2. Definitely better than an investment, that's for sure, because you are now up a card, not just replacing it in your hand. So for silver, draw 2. I definitely like Batcomputer, especially in builds with Cyborg. Next is Batcycle. So Batcycle, charge a friendly leader and give them evade. Draw a card. I think this is going to be in every tactics deck, essentially, because this is just gives your leader protection. So especially if you're on the defensive, if you're playing a control build, you're definitely going to want to play Batcycle because you're not on the offensive. You're sitting back until you've drawn a ton of cards, and you can just one-shot your opponents with Cyborg, for example. So Batcycle is definitely going to be in more of those control archetype builds, I think. Next is Sonic Cannon. So Sonic Cannon, deal 3 damage to an enemy recruit and draw a card. So again, it's Lightning Bolt, kind of. So it cantrips, does replace itself in your hand with artwork like Cyborg. I mean, this again fits very well into Cyborg builds. But again, control. This is definitely a control card. It's got control written all over it. Another card that has control written all over it is Straitjacket. So Straitjacket says an enemy recruit loses all attack. That is crazy good. Again, until we know if recruits with 0 attack are still able to attack or not. I think they will be able to, but this is something I don't have confirmation with or not. I don't know if they will. I think right now we're assuming recruits with 0 attack cannot attack. But again, time will tell. If they can't, then this card is insane. Now, if they can, a little worse, but still, I mean, think about it. If you have a recruit that has 10 attack and then they play Straitjacket, yeah, no, you have 0 attack. Oh, I flurry. Doesn't matter. And flurries you can attack twice in a turn, by the way. So Straitjacket just negates all of that. I think Straitjacket is a very, very good card. Next is Sustained Effort. Activate the deploy abilities of each of your recruits. So again, I think if you are playing a build, a deploy build, then you're going to run Sustained Effort. So like we talked about, so far the recruits in tactics, the deploy builds are okay. I haven't seen one that is just amazing yet. But they're all tempo oriented. They're very, yes, they will interact with things and they will make an impact, but I don't think the impact that they're going to make is going to be game breaking, right? It's just, again, I'm very much reminded of, there was a mono blue list in Magic a couple of standards ago. It was just deal you for one, hit for one, hit for one, hit for one. A lot of those ping effects. And that's what I see tactics is going to be very much like. So that is Sustained Effort. All right, now we are talking about the gold actions. We've got 5 of them, and the first is a doozy. Is Batmobile. Batmobile, give a friendly leader Hunter and Evade. If it was a tactics leader, give them +2 this turn for each gadget you've played this game. Batmobile is going to be the top end of, I think, every Batman gadget list. So again, with it being an ultimate, you can only play 1. So if you're playing gadget synergies, then I think you definitely have to run Batmobile, excuse me. Giving your Batman Hunter and Evade is going to be phenomenal. But I mean, that's already good, but being able to give them +2 for each gadget you've played this game. If you've played 10 gadgets, you've just given them +20. That is absolutely crazy. It's not just your turn. I mean, Batmobile is going to be crazy. Batmobile, like I said, I think that's going to be at the top end of every Batman gadget list. Another card is Built Anew. Built Anew, heal 10 damage from a friendly leader and draw a card. So this is not ultimate. All right, so this is a super rare. Excuse me, no, this is not super rare. This is rare. You're healing 10. I mean, that's with health of like 17. You've got Batgirl had 17. Cyborg, I think, had 22. That's half of their pool of health, right? That's half. So again, I mean, this is going to be, again, in pretty much every control build. And if you are playing aggressive and then you're just turn after turn attacking, then they play Built Anew, I mean, that's just going to blow the wind out of your sails, I think. So I definitely like Built Anew from a control standpoint for sure. Next is Mass Arrest. Return all recruits to their controller's hands. That is all. So that is your opponents and yours. So again, if you're playing deploy synergies, yes, it may quote unquote hurt you, but again, if you think about it, you're attacking with your stuff. Hopefully your recruits survive, and then you play Mass Arrest and bounce your stuff back to hand, then that's great. But this is going to have a lot of different situations, so this is gonna be very situational. I shouldn't say very situational, because it's a soft board wipe, right? Just bounce all your stuff. This is gonna be applicable in a lot of different scenarios and archetypes for sure, because again, you're bouncing your opponent's stuff. Do I want to attack with my stuff? Then I play Mass Arrest, bounce my opponent's stuff, then I bounce my stuff, which has a lot of my stuff has deploy effects, deploy abilities, so then I replay that stuff next turn, get those. This is going to be a pretty good card. I'm very interested to see how this card's going to be played and what different archetypes Mass Arrest is going to be played. All right, next is Master Strategist. So it's a gold, draw 3. So you're up 2, place itself in your hand, and then draw 2 more cards. So Master Strategist, again, drawing cards, good. My thing with drawing cards so far is you're only able to play 2 cards per turn. I want those cards to mean something that turn. So if I have to play a card that just draws me cards into my hand, that's just one less thing I'm able to do that turn. So again, what are you giving up, and then what are you getting? So having leaders like Cyborg definitely gives you some added benefit in the end game for just those extra draws. So again, drawing cards always good, but Master Strategist draws 3. All right, next is Star Labs Research. This is the last card here, and this is just value, man. So just like Master Strategist, you're kind of drawing 3 cards, but you kind of know what you're getting. So Star Labs Research says create a gadget, an ultimate card, and a recruit with deploy in your hand. So tactics looks like we've got a lot of synergies of deploy for this faction. Getting a gadget, we've already talked about the gadgets, an ultimate card, and all those ultimate cards are going to have immediate benefits, whatever that card is. So you don't know what you're getting. And same with that recruit. You're not sure what recruit you're going to be getting, except it has deploy. So we talked about 12 recruits from tactics that have deploy. Star Labs Research, I think it's going to be a really, really good card. Yeah, there's going to be multiple applications for cards like Star Labs Research. That is for sure. Holy cow, that was pretty crazy. Yes, we're going to do this for every other faction. And that was tactics. Let me know down below what you guys think. What leader are you looking forward to running in tactics? And also let me know down below what faction you want to see next. Like I said, I think I know which one I'm going to do, but I want to know which one you guys want to see next. So leave a comment down below. I am hoping to get all these factions done this week, but time will tell what I'm able to do with the schedule. Yeah, that's all we got so far for you today. Like I said, I'm looking forward to building Batman gadgets because, yeah, it's going to be really good. And we're definitely going to be running Batmobile. Yeah, let me know down below what deck you want to run first out the gate when this game goes live. So thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll catch you in the next video. I'm tired. I'm out of here. See you guys.